So first of all, Joe, go ahead and introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Joe Bushalaki. I've been with the DIG agency for 5 years, and I'm a training manager now. I have learned the hard way that the system works. You follow everything that is in place, and you get results. And our focus nowadays is to not have to do it the hard way, to start the system from the jump and to make the money you want to make ASAP. So here I am 5 years later, showing the system that I have done myself that is successful.
Joe, thanks, man. Dustin, hop on, say hello and introduce yourself.
Yeah, can you guys hear me good?
Yeah, man, just fine.
Okay, Dustin, been with DIG for, actually I was contracted last November, but I just started, first week was last week in the field. I've worked with 2 other IMOs on a very limited part-time basis, and I'll tell you the structure and the system here at this company, it's the best out there by far. And I think on top of that, the support, the mentorship, the guidance, man, you are not going to get this nowhere else. So that's what I would start with.
Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate the kind words, man. So yeah, let's start from the top, Dustin. If you can kind of tell us, how did you get into insurance and what attracted you to being in this business in the first place?
Yeah, so I graduated college and I went right into residential remodeling with my dad. We did that for many years, and I'm originally from upstate New York. If anyone knows anything about New York, it's a tough place to be in. It's expensive, it's cold. So we moved down to North Carolina, me and my fiance, and probably it wasn't even 2 weeks. I looked at some opportunities that were available in my area, and a lot of them were insurance. So I was like, okay, something's got to be going on here. Everything's about insurance as far as job postings. So I'm like, I'm going to go check it out. Flexibility with the schedule, commissions where you actually earn, the money you earn is based on what you produce, the value you produce in the marketplace. Right. So I was like, man, that's way better than any hourly job. And I ran with it kind of from there part-time while working at a bank full-time.
Right. So you kind of you like the idea of being your own boss, being a business owner, making commissions, that kind of thing attracted you in insurance. What were your initial experiences with what you found out there in the world of insurance agencies as far as support, mentorship? I preface this because a lot of people don't know what they're getting into when they see these jobs. You know what I'm saying? So kind of explain that from the perspective. A lot of people are newer to the business, kind of just doing their due diligence. What did you experience as you're looking for a place to call home and a place to join?
Just because I did my due diligence studying the scripts and stuff, I did all right. But when I ran into situations with a client where I needed underwriting help or just a call I like to call from the home personally because it just adds credential to me as an agent. So I will always call. And long story short, as far as mentorship and guidance, it just didn't exist. Like it was a whole bunch of rah-rah. They were, talking about their cars and their houses, and you could have it too if you did this. And I never really truly got into it for the money. I think you definitely have to find your why early on to last in this business. But for me, it was about serving clients, and I realized real quickly with those 2 companies, it's about with them. It felt like to me it was about let's bring as many agents as we can in the revolving door, see who sticks, and if they don't, oh well, it's not our fault. Like they take no responsibility for their mentorship and guidance. And then it was also, what else can you give to me as far as what I'm already making 7 figures, but how can you give me more?
Right.
Without me doing much work coaching you. So that was my experience.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because kind of what's taken this business by the laurels or by storm is this, what I would call the MLM multi-level marketing culture. This is a direct sales business in its truest form, where you can sell a good that needs to be sold to a consumer. It's hard to sell life insurance without approaching them. It's still a model that requires people to execute on it. But the problem with the business, and this started, probably in the 80s with A.L. Williams, is they brought in this whole recruit other people to recruit mentality. And I'm sure others did it before that, but it really took over the business in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. And there are plenty of 3-letter agencies out there you've all heard of on YouTube, and they all perpetuate this mass recruitment stuff. And what invariably happens is it serves the very top of the pyramid very well. They make a ton of money on overrides. They're protected from chargebacks because there's all these layers that absorb the bad business decisions that agencies and agents who weren't trained make. They make a boatload on reselling you old junk leads at very high premium rates. And these are things you wouldn't know getting into it because you think, oh, it's insurance. Everybody needs it. It's a legitimate product with these companies that are brand named and associated with it. But lo and behold, what a lot of people do, Dustin, they find out and then it's too late and they leave the business with a chip on the shoulder, not realizing that there are organizations that don't fall into that MLM stuff. So, my tip for you guys out there, if you're getting in this business, do your due diligence, always look at the organization, think about what you need to be successful. Of course, we think training and one-on-one mentorship is a differentiator, which I believe it is. But make sure that your organization you're going to join meets those criteria because most of them don't. And there's some good organizations out there that do, but the vast majority of them, it's just an opportunity to recruit another warm body, to get you in the door, to recruit other people, to siphon the money out of you, and then go on to the next victim. And it's a damn shame because this is a great business. So you pivoted. How did you find out about DeFord Insurance Group, by the way?
Actually, a buddy of mine had joined you, and I don't think he stuck around long because he really wanted to be in investments.
Okay.
He told me about you. I did some research, and I was like, why couldn't I find you 2 years ago?
Yeah, there you go. I know. That's what everybody says. If they just put YouTube on and put in final expense. But okay, cool. So you joined our career program, which is a little bit different than the broker program. Can you kind of explain to the audience how that works?
Broker side is you buy your leads, you get higher commissions for taking on the risk of investing in those leads. Career side is DeFord Insurance. Generously, this never happens almost any other company that I've heard of. They'll take on the risk initially if they feel like you're suitable to go out in the field and make sales, and it's a little less commission. So it kind of, for me, based on some of the things I've been through in the last couple months, I just needed to totally take out the stress of purchasing leads and thinking about where to get them from, and I just let you guys handle that, and I'll go out and build the skill set. So for me, the career side is a great place where if you're new, money's tight, you don't have much sales experience. It's just it takes out a lot of the thought process of getting going as a business owner on the broker side. So that's what I would say about the career side.
Yeah, and that's a new initiative we're doing at DeFord Insurance Group. We really haven't ever done that till the beginning of this year. Most of the time, what we have done prior to that is all agents had to have bought leads and then, go at it. And that's not for everybody. I used to think that the free lead business model was unprofitable, but I've seen more than ever. A lot of organizations are good organizations, provide free leads, and it's right for the right type of individual. And it's especially good if you're out there and you've got more willpower than bankroll, because, we're all at certain spots in our life where we may not feel totally comfortable making that investment. And if you're a good fit for us and you're in that position, there is an option, especially if you want to go face-to-face, to where we'll provide the leads for you. And what's neat is, and this is available to Dustin and anybody else that comes on board, if it makes sense for you long-term, even in the intermediate term, as you develop yourself, you develop your skill set, you're seeing success, we're open to transferring you to a broker agent where you buy your own leads, you have the higher commissions. We're all going to make money either way. My mentality always has been is what's best for the agent, because if we always keep our mind on what's best for you, we'll make money. It's just a matter of time. It's like what you said earlier, Dustin. I'm not so worried about getting rich, but on the flip side, I know if I do the right thing at scale for a lot of people, the money will take care of itself. And it's worked out pretty well so far that way. So, that is a nice thing to do. And that is something that's available. Of course, there's an application interview process. We don't accept everybody as well, because we're looking for a good match. And so let's bring Joe on here. I want to kind of have him describe what the onboarding process is like. Joe, is your camera working, or can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I was having an internet connection.
Yeah, man. So take us through what it's like. What was it like training Dustin? And here's the thing I want you to focus on, Joe. Dustin has this, and you and I have talked about Dustin several times. He has the stuff. He has the character traits of what it takes to be successful. And that is the thing we are so heavily looking for when we are trying to find recruits to join our organization. Could you speak kind of on what Dustin is doing that has given him this success so early on, and kind of what you would give as advice to those who are looking to be successful very quickly?
Yeah. So early on, I mean, the second day of training, I can tell that Dustin had been rehearsing and practicing. Like, he was owning the scripts by the second day, like in the afternoon. And like, it was really impressive, because it's just, when you train people, you obviously, after a while, you can tell who's trying and who's practicing and who's not practicing. And I just seen it. So just the level of work that he put in to owning the scripts, like, that was where it was at. And then also, speaking of like the X factor, I can just tell by my gut, I can tell that Dustin like really wanted to be successful. And that is a big part of the X factor, is you have to want to be successful. You have to want to do well in this business. It's one thing to practice a lot. It's another to practice a lot and really internally want to be successful in this business. And I just seen it. Like, I seen it talking to him. It was like just coming out like energy wise. And I just was automatically getting like this really good feeling. So yeah, just ramping up the training, practicing, putting in the hours, and really wanting to be successful. Those couple of things will get you lifted off.
100%. Dustin, can you kind of expand on that? Like, what did you do? We call it our Gauntlet week. It's an intense 1 week session of multiple days of one-on-one training with the trainer. We do script development. We attend daily huddles to practice out loud our script with a small group. Can you kind of take us through what you were doing with that time to get the most out of and being as prepared as possible to go sell?
Yeah. So the way that I thought about it, and if anyone has a pen, if all you have a pen, write it down, is 90% of or 85% of the business initially is just the scripts, 10% is learning, kind of some product knowledge, some underwriting, and 5% is, reaching out to other people within the organization. So for me, what I did, and actually Joe was the one who mentioned it to me, was I recorded my door knock script, my appointment setting script, my presentation script. And I did that. He only required it 10 times a day. I did it probably 15 to 20. And here's the key with that is, when you record, don't record it and then stop if you mess up. You won't be able to rewind in a live appointment. Keep going. And I tell you, the first 5 recordings of each one, I was like, oh my gosh, no one's going to buy from me. Like, what are we doing here? And it's funny how just 5 more of that and 5 more of that, and not stopping the recording, just going through the roadblocks. And it was like, second day, like Joe said, I had it down pat. So that's all I would focus on in that Gauntlet week, is just the scripts. You get the scripts, you're never going to be uncomfortable in the home, because you have the license, more than the people you're sitting with.
Yeah, man. Hey, that is so important. And I want everybody to really contemplate this, because this is kind of what we've seen. The agents that do well do something very similar to what Dustin does. They just don't meet the minimum when it comes to even just the preparation side of the business, which is profoundly impactful long-term. They go above and beyond. They take this seriously. That first week, they understand they're going to get grilled. They're going to be asked to do the script without reading the script. They understand that they're going to be put on the spot, because all of this isn't like some sort of like perverse way to irritate you guys or run around you. It's to help you be prepared for battle. You're about to go out there and spend your time talking to complete strangers, and then hopefully taking at least some of the strangers' money in the form of a policy, right? And you need to be battle tested and prepared. And that's what Joe does fantastically well. I'm going to kind of have him come on here and talk about what happens when agents don't do this, but it's the reality. You have to take this stuff seriously. You have to do more than the minimum, because when you're out there, it's up to you. As much as we will train you and get you going, it's the things that go on in your own mind that really are the X factors. You know, how bad do you really want it? Just like Joe was saying about Dustin. How bad will you go knock the next door after you've been turned down the entire day? It's the little things that add up into exponential outcomes. And those are very hard things to teach. And we want to build upon those. Not all of us have all of it from the beginning. You know, some of us have some of it, and then your coach and mentor helps develop the rest of it. But so much of this is up to you to get out there and execute, not just from the day you get leads, but before that. So Joe, can you kind of come on here? I want to hit on this because I think it's really important. We cut people, right, in our organization in our first training week, as we see people aren't taking this seriously, because it's a better use of our time just to say, hey, we can tell this may not be for you because this is a serious thing. We're super committed, but you're not. Can you kind of talk about your process of figuring out, you know, how you can tell if somebody's going to make it or not in that first couple of days of training?
Yeah. So what I do purposely is the second day of training, which is Tuesday morning, I pretty much catch people off guard and I tell them, okay, we're going to say the scripts and you're not going to look at the script. So first off, stand up, take about 5-10 paces backwards and start doing your door knocking script. And after that, I say, okay, come sit back down here and let's pretend we're at the kitchen table. Don't use your script. Start ready to start building rapport with me. Boom, let's go. And what happens is people fumble and they freeze. And I tell them, I say, look, I did this for a reason, not because this is the tryout test right here, but I want you to know the holes and the openings in your game so you realize what you need to work on right now. And then even before that, I try to preach to people, even before the training week, and I tell them, hey, this is a tall order. You're going to have to start rehearsing like right now before Monday. And so those are the things we do. And we keep going over and over and over for a couple of days on end. And if we're not seeing overarching improvement, basically, if we're not seeing that you are putting in the work, then, you know.
And we can tell. We can
trying out. Yeah, and we can tell. Absolutely.
I liken to, and here's how I look at this business. If you intend to be as good as possible, you have to think of yourself like a professional athlete. And what do the pros do in NFL when they're not playing the game? Do they just lounge around and kind of take things casually? No, they're watching tape. They're reviewing their competition's plays. They're reviewing their plays. They're doing it over and over and over again to the point of being almost seemingly absurd. But the thing is on game day, they've got it down pat. There's a sense of confidence they get because they've ran the play a million times. They know what the competition's going to do. There's a sense of confidence going into game day that had they not done the practice and the repetition, which probably is boring. And some of the stuff that we do, there's kind of a sense of boredom to it because there's not that like novelty to it after you've rehearsed the script for the 50th time. But what you get is when you're out there in the field, and this is the magic, and I think this is what makes our system so awesome, is that it's not like brand new. You've already done this a million. There's a sense of familiarity. You're getting out there and you're just doing the thing you've already practiced a bunch. And if you think about the game of sales, insurance sales, final expense as a game and a performance activity, then you've got to give your effort on the upfront side in order to prepare yourself maximally. And the thing is that what we've discovered is the best thing to do that is a coach. It's a mentor. We all know nothing I'm saying is like, profound and new. It's all kind of what everybody knows, but that's the thing. It's not so much like there's some magical secret that we have just behind this door if you'll pay us money to get. It's not about that at all. It's about taking the fundamentals, executing on them, and having somebody in your corner to appropriately urge and drive you in that direction and guide you in that right direction. I liken what we do is we're kind of like the Sherpas that show you up the mountain. You know, we'll show you how to climb the mountain. We'll show you the process to get up there, the fastest, safest way to get to the pinnacle. but we can't do the climb for you. You've got to do it yourself, but we sure can prep you to do it. Right. So to me, that's the main thing, guys. If you're not getting that, I'm telling you, you're missing out. We've initiated the coaching program with every single one of our final expense agent telesales, face-to-face or free lead program. And the results have just been phenomenal. More people are successful now than they really ever have been in my agency. And our agents like Joe, David, and Tim, they do a way better job than I ever did training my people. And I always thought what we did was good, but that one-on-one mentorship has really just elevated it to the next level. Dustin, take us through your first week getting out in the field. What was it like actually taking those leads that you got and then door knocking? I think you pretty much door knock. Kind of take us through a couple of your sales and what you experienced.
Yeah. So the door knocking, when people answered for me, it just might have been one of those weeks where I just, it happens. There wasn't a lot of answers on the door knocks, but the people that did answer, very friendly, they kind of welcomed me in. And I think part of the reason is because if you know your scripts, it's almost like you're the one who's answering the door at the house. Like you're in so much control. It's hard for them to just be like, no. And then, so in that sense, the door knocking, I had never done it before and I was real nervous. I'm not going to lie. Like showing up unannounced to someone else's house, even though they requested the information. But once you get in the door, you realize that, for me, I'm big on vulnerability with people. I love people who open up. I like playing devil's advocate. I like people who are honest. So for me, I take my time with rapport. I know there's people out there who 1-2 minutes, they're good to go. And they go right into their script. I'm different. I like to really know who I'm serving. And the sales from that perspective were very easy. I mean, they were, once you really understand what they want to accomplish with the coverage, why they want it, what would happen if they don't get it. It's so easy to be like, okay, so we're on the same page now. You realize you're going to get this today.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was super simple. I think a lot of the times, I know from my past experience doing it part-time, my overthinking and the doubt and the disbelief would creep in when my activity was not high enough.
Right.
So, I mean, I just told myself, no matter what, no results, whatever, I'm going to do exactly what Joe tells me to do. And I'm not going to question it because he's where I want to be and you're where I want to be after that, so why am I not going to listen to their advice? It was really easy.
Right. Again, high notes here, guys. To me, more than anything is the mindset and the character principles Dustin's talking about. He's humble, right? Just follow the system. He's willing to take a chance and get out there and take a risk, right? Because it's a risk. There's no way to get rid of risk in life. You got to go out there and try. You're probably going to hear no, and I'm sure Dustin did between the sales that he made, right? But that doesn't mean that the opportunity is not there or couldn't be manifest, but you got to take that risk and is willing to be coached, right? And these are things that we are looking for in the people that do the best with us, right? Because we know what works. I mean, the system works. It's just a matter of executing on it and staying focused in the process. So you said the E word. You said the sales were easy. Did you feel like it was way easier than you thought it was? Do you think that the coaching and the script development had a contributing part to making those sales simple for the most part?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't mean easy in the sense of like the clients just laid down. That's not what I meant. I meant they're easy because I knew my script. So when they got me off script, I think of it of a straight line, and the client's trying to get you to go to the right and to the left, and your job is to just stay on it. Right. So that's what I did. If they got me off course, I just interrupted, respectfully, and just, guys, I got a whole bunch of clients to see here soon. So just bear with me. I'm going to go through this quick, get it done, and then we'll talk if there's a few minutes after. So it's just really taking control and realizing they want this, but they want to know they can trust you. They want to know that you know what you're talking about. And if you know your script, you don't have to know anything else. All 4 sales, I messaged or called Joe, even though all but except for one, I knew where I was going to go with the product, and he said the same one, but it just builds my credibility. So I think the biggest part for me was just take your ego out of the way. Just take your ego out of the way and do what they're telling you to do. because it's going to get you the results that you wanted when you first came to the opportunity.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. It's easier said than done, because we all have a past and an experience, and but that's the thing. You're learning a new skill, and it's best if you just defer to the skilled and to learn from them, and you'll develop your own perspective and change things a little bit with time and experience. But in the beginning, it's so important to just follow what works. It's the straightest line, like you said, to get to where you want, which is having success. So a couple of comments here. Where upstate were you? This guy's from Chenango County.
Ithaca is about 5 minutes outside of Cornell. Most people heard of Cornell.
I bet you don't miss the snow.
Yeah, or the taxes.
Yeah, that's for sure. So said like a true New Yorker. So. Linus says, Dustin, can we have a sample of your script? You can find the script for free, Linus, at daviddufour.com/ISS. If you look under the classroom section and then you go to the scripts, it's there. The whole thing is there for free. I mean, we give away everything, guys, because here's the thing. I said this on our live training that we did the other day. There's a category of people that think like there's this kind of like secret sauce that you have to have, and like there's a magical script and it's just going to convince everybody to give their money. And there's some truth to being scripted correctly. But the thing that I do, the reason I give everything away for free is A, I'd like to leave a legacy and help people out in this business, whether they're with me or not. B, it's a great recruiting tool to just give, because there's the art of, or the law of reciprocity. People will give back. And then C, truly, what I've discovered recently with our change in how we recruit and build teams and build agents is that the magic sauce is in the mentorship, guys. Like there's a lot of this stuff that we can read books, we can read material, we can read scripts, and there's some kind of learning you'll do. But the kind of learning that really makes the most impact after that base level is actually having somebody, a third party that's interested in your success, to tell you what you need to do better, because we all have this inability to get outside of our heads for the most part. Some of us are better than others at it, but it's very hard to be self-critiquing or self-critical, right? Because our ego's involved. We may downplay it, or we may not just see the full perspective like we should, because we just don't have the experience yet. And that's where the trainer comes in. And it's just been a vital change to what we do, because Joe can come in and tell Dustin, hey, when you did this on your door knock script or your presentation, and Dustin be like, yeah, what about it? Oh, I should have done it this way. And so, but that epiphany that you get is so hard to have just listening to yourself, because we're all in our own way to some extent. And so that's why we give it all away here, because it's helpful to you on a variety of levels. But it also introduces this important concept of mentorship, because that's the last little variable that really is the X factor, in combination with the person who's willing to receive it. Of course, you got to be, coachable too as well. Dustin, you're great in this regard. Freely you get, free you give. Yeah, thank you, Linus. Appreciate it. And what was the other question here? I don't think that was it. If you guys have any questions, this is a great opportunity to throw them in a chat, and then I'll kind of hand this over to Joe. Joe, kind of wrapping this up. What would be give me like 2 tips that you would give agents who are interested in being successful at final expense? What would you tell them who maybe are just getting licensed or are just thinking about getting started? What 2 tips or advice would you give them to give them the best chance of quick success, and not just quick success, but long-term sustainable success in the business?
I will tell you, following the agency system was everything for me. When you get involved in the agency, soak up the entire system, the recordings, the meetings, rehearsing the scripts. I mean, everything, even as far as down to reading the books that are recommended. Following the agency system means everything. Because you know what? Dustin said something that was really a mess up in my game at first, was putting your ego to the side. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have our way that we think we know how to do things. And so what a lot of us will do is we'll like follow a company system, but we'll kind of put our own thing in there, and it'll be like this hybrid of something that we created. And then before you know it, you're like out caught in the weeds, man. And you don't know 6 months later why you're struggling, because it was like a long journey to failure started with a few steps of just making bad decisions. And so you want to follow the company system straight up. This one, wherever you're at, you want to follow the system, because the system works. And this system works. Once I started following the system to the best of my ability, instant results, tripling and quadrupling my AP straight up. And then the other one is putting in the practice time. You know, it's easy to get caught up in, like, of course, we need to see the people. We need to knock the doors. We need to buy the leads. We need to do those things. But the intangible value of being in a quiet place, staying focused, and be putting on some background music or something, and doing the rehearsing, the training, and just the fundamentals, that's where it's at. So follow the company system and put in the training on your own part. Those are the 2 tips that I would give everyone.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, Joe. It's so true. You know, you really have to have the fundamentals in place and the willingness and humility to execute on them. And Dustin, man, thank you so much for being here and explaining your story to us. We look forward to many more weeks and months and years of success. We are here to serve you in any capacity. And Joe, thank you so much for getting Dustin trained up and successful, man. I certainly appreciate both y'all's work very much. Thank you very much.